Ahoy guys! I did it again. I have already been talking to the microphone for a good 20 minutes and nothing recorded. So you're gonna have to apologise and bear with me on this one. We're gonna surf through it. I might be able to cut out some of the fluff this time anyway. So this week's episode was a very interesting episode. Initially, there are three major plot points going on in this episode, which I'm going to try and zoom in on, try and hone in on. So, the premise for this episode is called Beyond a Dream, or Beyond That Dream. And we find out that Lucien is with MC, taking her out. She believes they're going out for MC Miracle Finder work. However, it turns out Kiki and Anna are both really worried about MC. And they're so worried that she's overworking herself, she's coming up with idea after idea, that she may collapse. And they've gone to Lucien to try and get some help to just take her out of the work-life kind of situation. And he says, we're going to go for a picnic and we're going to go to a very mysterious spot. You need to rest so you can improve your performance. And he's not wrong, guys. So if you are working, say, a very long week kind of thing, if you take a day off in the middle of it, just a day to do nothing, you will find that instead of your work decreasing over that time, but your productivity will decrease. If you take a break in the middle, you'll find that your work will be basically balanced out, and you'll be more productive than not taking a break. Well, I've put in a side note. Lucien is wearing a woolly, what seems to be a turtleneck shirt and a suit jacket. Lucien, are you hot? I'm sorry. I mean, I'm sure a few people in the audience will say you are hot, but are you warm, Lucien? Are you not hot in that get-up? That get-up looks really... Looking at Lucien makes me feel really warm under the collar in different ways. So we find out that MC feels that Lucien has become her friend, and she calls him a very special fox. Foxes in Japanese mythology are often, or kitsune as you might hear them called, they're very cunning. It's very interesting that she's chosen to liken Lucien to a fox. I mean, I agree, I think he is a fox, I think it fits him, but MC at this point doesn't suspect him or anything like we do. It's just weird because foxes are cunning, they're shown as playful, mischievous, and they're very tricky. So you've heard of the game Kokori-san. It's about a fox spirit who lures girls into... He tricks them into making a wish and making a contract with a dangerous spirit, in a sense. If any of you guys have seen Hanako Toilet Bound, that, again, he's in that. And Kokori-san as well is an anime, so if you are interested in that kind of thing, you can check out both animes. They are both really good animes to watch. So you've got Toilet Bound Hanako, which is a good. The art style might take a bit of getting used to. Very good anime if you're wanting some kitsune in supernatural. And then Kokori-san himself has an anime called Kokori-san, and it's funny. It's a very good comedy. So if you need something a bit light-hearted, good one to watch. In the Mr. Love Queen's Choice world, Lucien is a bit of a 50-50 character. There are people out there who really hate Lucien. I know people who have stopped playing because of Lucien. But there are people who really, really love Lucien. Lucien, I'm going to tell you right now, if we had a scale of good to bad, Lucien's in your grey area. I don't put him in a bad character. He's not essentially bad, but he is morally grey. To me, I find him very interesting. I find him very interesting to break down. I've mentioned him a few times. He allows me to go into some philosophical debates. He's a discussion trigger. So, as we're walking along a road, we get this quote from Lucien as they're surrounded by these wheat fields. He says that the gold wheat reminds me of you, and the sound of the wind passing through the wheat is something I'll grow to love. The Little Prince is often also mentioned in anime as well. There's an anime where this boy has kind of forgotten his memories, and the only book he can remember is The Littlest Prince. I think this book is also mentioned in Princess Jellyfish. This whole book itself, it's a child story. Just to quickly also match it up, I said that Gavin's symbol is ginkgo leaves. They are gold in colour. Gavin's colour is amber because it's a reminiscent colour of the past. Lucien as well, using the gold, not to be too... I mean, you guys have seen the episode. We know what happened. Lucien gets gold as well because he too is from the past. He's got memories from the past we're now going to remind of. So the wheat around them is going to remind me of you, or put in the word MC of me or MC of Lucien. Okay, so as we're walking along the road, MC sees a tree where she says, you can almost imagine a fox sitting by that tree, and we see a cat. So Mr. Lucien, being our professor, says because the kitten is a kitten and it's wearing a collar, he hasn't come very far, and they go and find the owner. Quickly brushing across these things because this isn't really important, it leads us into the next scene essentially. The owner of the cat is a old lady who is a crafter, and we see that she crafts these good luck charms. She's a bit like me in that sense. I'm a crafter, she's a crafter. We both work with fabric, it's great. MC very excitedly goes, can you teach me how to make one? But preferably the simplest one you can do. We get the second hint now, essentially, that Lucien is colourblind. Colourblind with air quotes because it's not quite as simple as simply being colourblind. Lucien can't see colour, however, he can see MC is colourful. And I mentioned it with the fireworks scene. The fireworks to him are colourless, but MC brings colour into his world. It's nice. And we get this really nice montage of MC trying to make this charm, and she keeps failing over and over again, but she doesn't give up. She keeps retrying. Lucien says, I heard that you ran into some trouble the other day during your investigation at your old high school. You must be pushing really hard to try and investigate the truth. Knowing the truth doesn't always bring you happiness, and you may regret it. So we're going to get another moment where I want to talk about this. MC says, I don't think I'm going to regret it. No matter how cruel the truth is, you can't overcome the truth unless you know what it is. Nothing will change. You can't move forward. If the evolvers are suffering, I want to help them. I want to stop Black Swan. As soon as she says, I want to stop Black Swan, Lucien gets that chest pain again. We've seen Lucien now 2 times before this. He gets chest pains whenever MC starts to become forceful, when she almost becomes very determined. So what I want to quickly go over with that last little bit. So remember last time, Lucien tells us the story about the painter and he sees the butterfly. And the painter captures the butterfly because he wants to keep it with him. He finds it so beautiful, he doesn't want to risk losing it. And then we heard that MC had a different take on the story. This is the same thing again. We see that Lucien and MC are polar opposites of one another. Lucien's idea is that because it's painful, you don't want to know it. Sometimes it's better off not knowing the truth because it's too painful. The polar opposite of this again is MC. Even if it's painful, sometimes you need to go through the pain to be able to move forward, and you can't change unless you face your truth and you can move on and grow. It's a nice little nod at how different these two really are. They both see the same situation, but they both see it in a very different light, which is what I want to try and get at. Try and view Lucien in that morally grey area, and try and view him in a way that he's seeing something that maybe we're all going to see differently from him. Lucien is well written in the game. Whether he gets the same treatment in the anime, I don't know, but we're definitely off to a very good start. We now get the first of the 2 spoilers. Gavin has been called to a rooftop by Shaw. Enter Shaw. Shaw is a character who has recently appeared in the very later chapters of the game. He doesn't appear in the early sections, okay? I want to make this very clear to you guys. He has been dragged in early. He is a spoiler. I'm now going to spoil something because I don't think the anime is going to mention it. Shaw is now a dateable character. You are now able, if you want, to start increasing your intimacy with Shaw. Shaw now has his own section. He has been entered for you to start interacting with. Shaw comes around in the latter half of the timeline in the game so far. I don't like Shaw. I'm not going to tell you why because the anime's not there and I'm not going to spoil the game for you guys. So in the game, you'll get choices in the game where you pick something and your choice affects how, the character reacts. I don't like Shaw because of certain reasons. So I always tend to pick a harsh. So if, let's say, for example, Shaw asks you to go somewhere, I'll pick a really sarcastic answer. Annoyingly, it tends to be the cold shoulder route that gets you really close to him. So if you are playing the game and you can't figure out why Shaw doesn't like you, do what I'm doing. Just push him away. And apparently pushing them away makes them eager to come back. There's a hint if you're trying to get close to Shaw. Gavin knows Shaw, and we find out, and I also need to tell you guys, he isn't working for Black Swan. He is using Black Swan. That's all I want to say quickly to clarify that quickly. Shaw has called Gavin out and he says, I've got a message for you from Black Swan. If you value your life. You are going to stop interfering. And we can see Shaw's evolve powers, because we've spoiled the fact that Shaw is also an evolver. We get these blue electrical kind of powers for now. It's not as simple as it is, but for now let's call him a lightning power. He is a Pikachu. He's using lightning powers against wind. Air type. Gavin is a Pidgeot. Technically, Gavin should technically have the edge, but they are pretty much evenly matched. Shaw tells him, if you want to protect her, you need to leave the Force. And Gavin's like, what do you mean? And he says, think about it. Anybody who is taken into protective custody disappears. They are nothing more than executioners. And if you're not careful, you're next to be executed. And that's where that ends, because he vanishes and says that he wants to leave it there for the day. That is our first scene, which is different and it's spoilery as hell. I'm hoping my little bit helps you guys understand who he is. Shaw is almost one of the newest characters in the game. So we go back to MC, and she has finally, after many attempts, made her charm. And she turns around to Lucien and says, this is my present for you. And she says, this is thanks for all the work you have done with Miracle Finder. Without you, no, we wouldn't be where we are now. We wouldn't have taken those first steps. We wouldn't have been funded by Victor. He was the first spark. So if you remember, I said Lucien is the first person to help MC. He is the first of the 4 suitors to reach out to MC and help her. So the charm she gives him, it's blue and pink, very innocent pastel colours, which is a very nice choice. Very innocent colours, very childlike. Lucien is shocked. He's like, is this why you redid it over and over again? And she says, it's not perfect. And Lucien, why? You rude. He says, I wouldn't call it well made, but I love it. Dude, did you have to say that? She acknowledges it's not perfect. You don't have to, you don't have to admit it, dude. Chill out. So we now get to the big thing of the episode. We're here now. And also, apologies if I sound ill. I think I might be coming down with a cold. Nothing like the big C. It's not the big C or anything. It is just, I'm under a lot of stress right now, guys. I was really excited. I wanted to talk about this anime, so we're here. We now end up at Lucien's special view, the Windows XP desktop. Yeah. I'm sorry, I had to. It is just this tree on a hill, which is just, it's the XP. It has to be. It's XP, right? Here we go, guys. Breathe in and just try and keep him in the grey, okay? Just keep him in the grey. Do you remember this place? And MC suddenly turns around and she feels faint and sleepy and she faints into Lucien's arm. I would say it's romantic, but it's not. It's really not, because of what's about to happen. It's almost evil. Evil, guys. Evil. Lucien says, I know you're going to remember it. The truth you're searching for. The promise we made that day and the day, and we sealed it away in a jar. Okay, enter our flashback vision. This is both a dream and a flashback at the same time, okay? There's 2 different things going on here. One, we're seeing Lucien's evolve powers, and we're also seeing something that he didn't himself expect to see. So this flashback with the young MC and young Lucien, this is all Lucien's powers. So we see young MC sitting by the same tree, and young Lucien approaches her. She asks, are you here to draw? Do you come here every day? Lucien says, yeah, I come here every day to draw. MC's like, I want to see your drawing. And he asks, how old are you and what's your name? She says, I'm not yet 5. This is important. Remember that MC can't remember anything when she was 5. She can't remember anything during that year. So this is all memories that she apparently should remember. So this all happens before the memory loss. And we don't hear her name, which I find is really nice. Yes, I know she has a name in the Japanese release. I said in the first episode, and I stand by it, we are calling her MC because she is the MC. I'm not giving her a name because in the game, you yourself are the MC. It's a nice little love letter, almost an Easter egg to the game itself. So it's nice to keep that as a secret. So she writes her name on his palm. Lucien, the real Lucien, approaches from behind and says, do you remember now? She turns around to Lucien and says, why does that boy have the same name as you and who are they? So MC isn't quite making the drawback yet of who these people are, that she's seeing the memories that she can't remember. MC Young makes a crane and gives it to young Lucien and says, will you be here tomorrow? And they make a promise. However, old Lucien chirps in and says, this is a promise that could never be. And we see him use powers to shift time, and it now turns into the next day where we've got Rain. MC is sitting on her own, all on her own, waiting, just waiting. And she turns around to break the fourth wall and she talks to the MC and says, hi. Older MC's like, are you waiting for that boy? MC says that he's not going to arrive, but it's okay because I can see tomorrow. and I can see today, and he never arrives. And we see that at her feet are these cranes, and she says, all I do now is fold cranes. What's important to note, cranes it's an origami crane. This symbolizes a wish. And I need to quickly show you guys something on screen, which is the newest card that I have also got myself. I'm very happy to have finally got this card. If you evolve Lucien's newest card, you will see in the corner and during the story, there is a curtain of cranes by MC's bed. So when I initially said that Gavin's icon is the ginkgo leaf, Lucien's icon is the crane. A crane is a wish. And the more wishes you have, the more good luck you get. So sometimes if you order something from a Chinese or Japanese company, you might get lucky. They might send you an origami crane. It's a good luck charm. So the more you have, the more better luck you're going to have yourself. And people use them to make wishes. In the route with Lucien and MC, trying not to spoil here, but anime is making it so difficult. With these two, cranes are a very important symbol between them. So if you do get the newest card and you've seen that route, you will see that MC herself says, I've been practicing to make cranes. And Lucien in that card says, will you teach me one day? And that's a promise. Nothing, no strings attached. I just want to learn. So back to young MC, who turns to herself again. This is, in any other time looping anime, this would be a time paradox. This would be causing a black hole right now. But because it's Mr. Love, it's not quite the same. Young MC says that my dreams always come true, but yours do as well, don't they? Because the young MC almost seems to, I guess she knows that this is her future self. And she says, you're going to wake up soon. And she turns around, and this is what Lucien is shocked about. Lucien wasn't expecting this. Young MC's like, soon he will be gone, and he won't be coming back. And she points to Lucien. And the scene shifts. Lucien, you've lost it. So this is the second thing I told you was going on. Lucien, as we saw in the later half, his plan was just to make her see this fake world, this dream world kind of thing. He wasn't planning on showing her any of his past. So this scene now we're about to get was not part of his plan. It's not according to Keikaku, okay? The scene shift. I love this scene shift, by the way. I love this scene. There's a lot going on and we're going to break it down quickly. MC is standing in the rain and we see young Lucien with his family crossing a road because we're going to isekai. Trucken has to make an appearance. If you know my other animes and you've seen my other episodes, you know how much I love Trucken, okay? Trucken is best boy. We see old Lucien behind her. His face just blank, emotionless, and we get this really nice red light. There's a red car light behind him kind of thing. Why do people want to cross the road when the light is red? I don't know. You are asking for trouble. This red light is reflecting onto his face, which is really nice. It's causing it's quite atmospheric. We also know that Lucien is unable to express emotion, so the rain is crying for him. If you're watching Fruits Basket, somebody even said, I think it was Hattori, and we get the girl, I can't remember her name, the teacher. She starts to cry and Hattori's like, thank you for crying for me. In this sense, Lucien is unable to cry because he's seeing something really painful. The way that they show the rain trickling down his cheek, the rain is crying for Lucien. And this scene is probably my favourite scene in the entire episode. Lucien's parents and himself get hit by a truck, and MC sees Lucien is still alive and she tries to run for him. Lucien covers her eyes and she wakes up. So his power of waking her back up, so he covered her eyes and she awakens. Lucien's plan essentially went haywire. He wasn't expecting the shift to see his past. He was only trying to show her the promise between him and her. He only wanted to show her that bit. He didn't intend to show her what happened to him. Back in the present, MC wakes up, and this is where Lucien does his second lie of the episode. So Lucien, there's a bit of lying going on in this episode. So initially the first lie was we're going out to do work for Miracle Finder. That was a lie. This is also a lie, guys, okay? He says, you were sleeping here the whole time. I never realised how tired you were. You should go back to your house and you should get some rest. MC says, but what about the boy? And Lucien's like, you've been dreaming this whole time. It's just a dream. But you will see Lucien's eye is flickering. And the flicker of the eye, because... So if you're lying, people tend to... You have to watch their eyes. Generally, if someone's lying to you, they blink a lot. Lucien, in a sense, is just his eyes flickering. He's also probably stressed. And in the taxi, MC herself says, was all of that really just a dream? And we see that she's holding a crane. So her holding that crane is very important. We see herself, she doesn't believe Lucien. Whether it's clear or not, I'm not quite sure. I think it's clear that she starts to doubt what Lucien says. And we get another very important scene now. After the interaction between Gavin and Shaw, Gavin goes back to the base. He starts to hack into the system. He wants to check on all of the people that they've taken into custody. So the first boy he checks is the boy from the first episode, the one I said I hated the voice for. The voices did not match. Gavin is shocked to find out that it says whereabouts unknown. And this goes into the scene I hate. I've got a lot of positives for the episode, but now I've got a very big negative. This scene now is a huge negative, a huge spoiler. I can see why we're doing it, but I don't think it's needed this early on. Bear in mind, we're only on episode 6. Okay, guys, Lucien, his nickname, code name is Eris, just to get that out in the open. We see that guy again, the guy who, I'm going to not give him a name, I don't want to spoil it too early. He is sat at a table playing chess, which is very ironic. If you're a fan of CinemaSins, eating an apple might be considered an a-hole thing to do. If you're evil, playing chess is, a very evil thing to do. And we see Lucien, yes, he's at the Black Swan headquarters. Lucien is there at headquarters, and the character says, so I heard you failed at awakening the Queen today. And, wasn't your theory that people evolve around other people? We will soon see if your theory is correct. The time has now come. And we quickly flash back to Gavin again, who is going through all of the other people they've taken into custody. So the sniper, that boy we saw last episode, all of them are missing, and all of them say whereabouts unknown. Gavin has stumbled upon something very dark, going on in the police force. I guess that's the only reason I can say that's the only positive for having Shaw appear. We've managed to link Shaw into giving Gavin a nudge into looking into the missing people. Okay, jump back into the scene that I really hate. And we're back at Black Swan, and we're now in that room again. Lucien says that no matter how cruel fate is, the Queen is trying her hardest to move forward, just as expected. However, she's moving faster than we expected. He says the plan was to invite her into the dream world and to bring her memories back, but it wasn't a complete awakening. So, as we've seen, he brought her into that memory world with young Lucien and young MC. He wanted to try jogging her memories about their meeting. Whether she would remember the tree was there to jog her memories. We even saw the wheat. The wheat says, the wheat reminds me of you. This whole episode of Lucien is about remembering things. Bear in mind, he also says himself, the power is close to blooming. That might be the reason why I couldn't keep things in check. And it's the first time I was unable to I was not able to control her. He never wanted to show MC that. The dream we saw, as he says, is about the boy who lost both his parents, but survived. And that day, he became the first man-made evolver through the work of Black Swan. The side effect of becoming an evolver, he lost all emotions and colour from his own world. Also, he fought. So we get a snap to MC walking down the road and she's in colour. And then we get a text to Lucien's phone as he's in Black Swan's headquarters saying, "Are you okay?" And we see him again in pain. A lot of pain. He's doubled over in pain again. Let's quickly go over what we just said. A reason why I think a lot of people hate Lucien is, especially early on in the game, he appears very fake. Something about him doesn't line up, so when you're around him, you kind of get this sense of unease. Because you don't have the full story, because he's faking things, he feels almost fake to you, which, again, it raises your suspicions. You become suspicious of him. A lot of people don't like Lucien. I understand why, but from my point of view, I think if all 4 suitors were just angels, it's a bit boring. You need to have characters who are imperfect to make things interesting. And as well, people aren't perfect. Everybody has a flaw. Bear in mind, I'm telling you guys, try and keep him in that morally grey area. Try not to automatically jump and say he's Black Swan, he's evil. Just keep him in the morally grey. He sees the world very differently from MC. So we jump to the flip where MC is holding her phone and Lucien's third lie. So he says, I'm sorry, I'm fine. I was busy with experiments. And she says, if what I saw was Lucien, has he really been alone all this time? And we hear that voice again from young MC. Soon he will be gone and he won't come back. Then MC's like, I'm really worried. Is Lucien facing some danger? And is it him facing danger this time? If that is so, I'm going to stop Black Swan do anything. I'm going to stop him. So that is the end of the very important stuff. The next scene essentially sets up the next episode. We'll quickly get there in a moment. What we need to quickly say is this scene here with MC. MC didn't believe Lucien's lie. So Lucien again has lied to her by saying, I'm fine, I'm just busy with experiments. We saw last episode for something very important happen. I even said this is probably the most important thing so far. We saw her actually listen to the visions and we saw her stop Gavin getting shot. This is important because we now can see she isn't brushing this off as a dream. The visions she saw with young Lucien and herself, she is paying attention to it. That's why she says, has he really been alone all this time? Because she believes that what she saw with Lucien is true. So the next scene, the setup for the next episode, it turns out that HBS, the highest grossing variety show with biggest viewership in the US, they are deciding to produce a variety game show, and they want to do this in every country, countries around the whole world. And their first location will be Loveland, and they want to pair up with Miracle Finder, so we get this nice scene where we've got everybody in the office getting really excited. This is it. This is a big break for Miracle Finder. Anna says that the interview with Key has definitely been a big hit in the US. So it turns out that the first interviewee, the first contestant on this show will be the world's youngest businessman, the man who managed to put together a conglomerate at a very young age. Victor, my boy is back. I'm not going to lie, guys, I've had the week from hell. So to know that Victor is appearing next episode, I need it, guys. I need it. Just give me this. So the end credit scene, we see that the next episode is a Victor episode. The title for next episode is Connected Memories, because obviously Victor and MC have definitely got some memories they share, and we're about to get a bit of information on that. We end on a beautiful key card of Lucien wearing a yukata. I love it. He's just evil. He's almost a bit like Loki or Shigure from Fruits Basket. You wouldn't say Shigure is evil, but you wouldn't also say he's good. He's up to stuff. The way he's going about things aren't exactly, you wouldn't say they're great. The way he's handling things is a bit underhanded. He's a very smart boy. I pointed this out last time as well, is Lucien's ability to differentiate colours, even though all he sees is greys. So he sees these tone of greys. There's a bit where MC offers him colour choice, what colours do you like kind of thing for the charm. We see him picking out colours. I want to believe that he actually knows the shades every colour has gone. So he knows which shade is green. He knows which shade is red. I almost want to say he's probably the most intelligent character in the game, but I think there's one more character who's slightly smarter than him and we haven't quite met them yet, so we're not quite there. I can't also downplay that Victor himself is a very smart character. So this episode we had like I said, I love the scene with Lucien's backstory. I think that was really nicely handled. My favourite shot, which I'm probably going to make the thumbnail, is the shot with Lucien and the red light. I love this. I like the interactions between MC and Lucien. Even though it was kind of fluffy and we had that interaction with her making the charm, the way they interacted was really nice. And we've seen as well, last episode, they were having tea together. People are going to doubt these interactions now. So is he lying? Obviously, he's lied about 3 things in this one episode. How far can you really trust Lucien? It's impossible to hide your true self all the time. Keep that in mind. So I think that's all I want to say. I want to say that I find Lucien fascinating. He's a very fascinating character. This episode, even though I actually only had 4 pages of notes, a lot of important stuff has occurred. Quickly recapping that, we've got this important line with MC trying to recall her memories, Lucien playing the underhanded role of trying to awaken her memories for Black Swan. We've got this subplot going on now with Gavin and the police, which is quite nice. Obviously, we've had the one scene with Eris and Lucien and Black Swan. That scene annoys me. I do still think it's way too early to have this. It's spoilers. I think it's going to ruin it for everybody in the long run. The scene with Gavin, sure, I can bend, okay? I don't agree with it being there, but at the same time, you're tying it into a subplot, which I can see happening. Okay, I forgive you. I forgive you for introducing us to Shaw. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Try not to overwork yourself, guys, like I am. Please, as well, if you are interested in following me, like, subscribe, do all those things. It's very important to me. Also keeps you guys up to date. There will be a video coming out about what I plan to cover next season. If you are interested in seeing what I'm going to be covering, like, subscribe, and you should get a notification. Hit the little bell. You'll get a notification to see what it is I plan to watch next. Have a good day, guys. Bye bye.